So 1984 is arguably the greatest year of movie releases in human history. Today, I am going to rank all the movies from 1984. But, being that it's March, I figured instead of a simple ranking, let's do it tournament style, okay? So, this is my March Madness 1984 movie bracket. What I did was I chose 16 movies, my 16 favorite movies from the year 1984, and holy shit is it a solid list, which we're going to go over in a minute. But I chose my 16 favorite movies, threw them into a bracket creator, have no idea how this is going to turn out, and we're just going to go. So let's get right into this. Let's talk about the movies that I chose and see who they're matched up with. This is just kind of auto-generated. I have no idea what the matchups are. I was kind of squinting my eyes as it went together. And we're just going to go through the matchups and kind of see who wins. Before I do that, tell me down in the comments your favorite movie from 1984. Who do you think should win this bracket? And did I get it right? Let's see. All right, top to bottom here. All right, don't pay too much attention to the seedings. Like I said, I just threw them in there. But the first matchup is going to be, we're going to read the matchups and then go. First matchup is going to be Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, versus The Natural. So we got a slasher movie versus a baseball movie, okay? Next, we have The Terminator versus Revenge of the Nerds. Ooh, that's an interesting matchup right there. Could you imagine Arnold going at Lewis? Oh, man. All right, next we have Ghostbusters versus Beverly Hills Cop. Jesus, this is going to be fucking tough. Next, one of our dud matchups here maybe. Star Trek 3, The Wrath of Khan. Or no, Search for Spock, I think it is. I can't remember. Star Trek 3 versus Children of the Corn. Okay. Next, we have an interesting matchup here. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the OG, versus A Christmas Carol. So we got Freddy's Christmas Sweater versus Ralphie's Christmas Red Ryder BB gun. Next, we have The Karate Kid versus Police Academy. Then we have, Gremlins versus Temple of Doom. How am I going to choose that? And then finally, we have 16 Candles versus Footloose. All right, so we're going to talk about these matchups as we go, and then I'm going to write out who I think wins, get down to the end of the bracket to the championship round, and crown our March Madness 1984 movie champion. And once again, guys, tell me in the comments how you think these matchups should go. Let's get right off to it, okay? Let's start at the top. We got Friday the 13th, Part 4 versus The Natural. Now, you guys obviously know if you watch this channel and look behind me that I'm a huge slasher fan, huge horror fan, right? You also know, if you've watched my channel for some time, I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan and a huge fan of the final chapter. But you also might not know, unless you know me very well, that I'm a huge baseball fan. Love fucking baseball. I've been obsessed with baseball since I've been a kid. I played a lot of Little League, 3-time All-Star, by the way. That's my claim to fame. I'm like El Bundy here with Little League. But I love baseball. But can Robert Redford defeat Jason Voorhees? Maybe in like a getting laid contest, but not in a battle and not in this tournament. So we are going to move on. Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter advances to the next round. Next, actually, let's go to the bottom. Let's do this from top to bottom and go back and forth. Next, we have 16 Candles versus Footloose. Okay, Footloose, Kevin Bacon dancing, right? It's a classic movie. 16 Candles, obviously a John Hughes classic. Tough battle here. For me, I'm not the biggest 16 Candles fan, guys. I love Kevin Bacon. Gotta go Kevin Bacon here. Footloose dances its way to the next round. Alright, back to the top. The Terminator versus Revenge of the Nerds. My God, this is a tough matchup. So you got Arnold, right? Coming after Lewis and the other nerds. Lambda, Lambda, Lambda. What if Stan Gable gets involved? right? What if Stan Gable gets involved? What if Ogre gets involved? You think Ogre could take on Arnold the Terminator? Probably not, right? Probably not. The Terminator is a fucking amazing movie. It's a classic for a reason. But I love Revenge of the Nerds. Always have, always will. It's a comedy that could not be made today. The Terminator could be made today. Revenge of the Nerds could not. I'm going Revenge of the Nerds in an upset. A huge upset. Revenge of the Nerds advances. Alright, next we have probably the toughest matchup at first glance thus far, and probably throughout the first round. It is Gremlins versus Temple of Doom. Two of my absolute favorite movies of all time. This is crazy. So you got, Indy at his physical peak, right? Where you got Gizmo. And you got another Christmas movie versus a dark movie, which we're going to have later on with A Nightmare on Elm Street and A Christmas Carol. Which, by the way, it's a Christmas Carol, not a Christmas Story. I misspoke before with the Red Ryder BB gun, but we'll get into that. So who wins Gremlins versus Temple of Doom? Tell me in the comments who should win this, because this is a tough fucking matchup. For me, you can't go wrong here, and it pains me to do this. It pains me to fucking choose here, but I'm going Gizmo. I'm going Gremlins. If it was a different Indiana Jones movie like Raiders, I'd choose Raiders. But here, Gremlins comes through. Back up to the top. Ghostbusters versus Beverly Hills Cop. Dear Lord. All these matchups are so tough. What am I doing to myself? This is going to be another nail biter here. You got Ghostbusters, classic horror comedy, right? Who are you going to call? All of that. Or you got Axel Foley wearing the Detroit jacket. There's another Beverly Hills Cop movie coming out this year. There's another Ghostbusters movie coming out. Still have stood the test of time, both these franchises. You got Eddie Murphy's comedy versus Bill Murray's comedy. You got ghosts versus drug dealers. For me, another one that it just pains me to do this. I'm choosing Beverly Hills Cop. And it's a better movie. I know that's probably blasphemy. I know it's probably an upset. But Beverly Hills Cop advances. All right, next. We got Karate Kid versus Police Academy. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a big fan of Cobra Kai. Okay? Love the show. I think it's great. But what you might not know is I'm not the biggest Karate Kid guy. I think Cobra Kai is great as a show. Karate Kid's a great movie too, but it just never appealed to me the way, Cobra Kai does. But Police Academy, Steve Guttenberg, all those hijinks, Bubba Smith as Hightower, you got Axel from, not Axel Foley, but Axel from Friday 4. There's a connection. He's in both of these movies. He's got a good shot at winning here. I think Police Academy beats Karate Kid. I really do. Police Academy advances. All right, 2 left in the first round, and then we're going to reset and see where we're at here for round 2. So now we have Star Trek 3, The Wrath of Khan, or The Search for Spock, Who Gives a Fuck, versus Children of the Corn. Okay? The earlier Star Trek movies, 1, 2, and 3, even though I can't remember which one is which here, I'm pretty sure it's Search for Spock. But even though I can't remember, they're all really good. I'm not a Trekkie by any means, but they're really good. Children of the Corn is not a good movie, but it's bathed in atmosphere. It's creepy Stephen King shit. It is one of those movies that is a guilty pleasure for me. Star Trek 3 is the much better movie than this, but I'm going Children of the Corn. I just, the Stephen Kingness of me loving that Stephen King story, and a small town and the cornfield and all that shit. Creepy kids, they went out. All right, final matchup of round 1. We have A Nightmare on Elm Street versus A Christmas Carol. Okay, 2 polar opposites, like I said. Freddy Krueger, not versus Ralphie, because this is not A Christmas Story, but this is the George C. Scott version of A Christmas Carol. My favorite version of A Christmas Carol. I love this version. Watch it every year. It's creepy. Like I said, George C. Scott is awesome. Exorcist 3 is great. He's so good in there. But can he stand up to Freddy Krueger, the OG Freddy Krueger? The answer is no. No, I love George C. Scott. I love A Christmas Carol. But no, Freddy wins. Okay, easy decision there. All right, let's look at the matchups for round 2. What do you guys think of round 1? What I get right, what I get wrong? Tell me in the comments. Let's talk about round 2 here. Let's see what kind of matchups we got, because this is getting pretty interesting here. We got final chapter, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, versus Revenge of the Nerds. Man, that's a good matchup. Next, we have Beverly Hills Cop versus Children of the Corn. Interesting matchup there. Next, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street versus Police Academy. And then we have Gremlins versus Footloose. Man, interesting matchups here. Same way, we're going to go top, bottom, etc. Let's start with Friday 4 versus Revenge of the Nerds. My God, this is tough. I just was showering Revenge of the Nerds with praise because it's such a good movie. And you guys know what I think of Friday 4. This is tougher than it probably should be. But I'm choosing Friday 4 here to advance to the semifinals. Next, down at the bottom, we have Gremlins versus Footloose. Can Kevin Bacon dance his way away from Stripe, I should say, and all the other Gremlins? Can he? No, he cannot. The Gremlins win. Gremlins advance to the semifinals. Next, we have the Children of the Corn and Axel Foley and Beverly Hills Cop. This is tough, except it's not. Beverly Hills Cop wins. And finally, the last matchup to get to the semifinals, we have Freddy Krueger and A Nightmare on Elm Street, the OG from 1984, and Steve Guttenberg and Police Academy. Who wins this matchup? I'm a horror guy, guys. I am. Freddy wins. A Nightmare on Elm Street. All right, semifinals. 2 matchups to get to the finals. We have Friday the 13th, the final chapter, versus Beverly Hills Cop. And we have A Nightmare on Elm Street versus Gremlins. The fact that these are all in the same year is incredible. 40 years ago, guys. Just amazing cinema hit the screens 40 years ago. Why don't we get this shit anymore? That's another fucking video. But man, tell me who wins these matchups. Let's start at the top. We got Jason Voorhees in Friday Part 4, the best version of Jason Voorhees, well, the best movie of Jason Voorhees, in my opinion, versus Axel Foley and Beverly Hills Cop, and A Nightmare on Elm Street and Gremlins down at the bottom. But who wins the top matchup? This is tough, guys. This is like picking between children or picking between, your favorite porno, whatever. Man, for me, guys, the better movie of these two, my favorite of these two, is, in a shocker to some of you, Axel Foley and Beverly Hills Cop heads to the finals. Bye-bye, Jason Voorhees. Will Freddy survive? That's the question. Freddy versus Gizmo. A Nightmare on Elm Street versus Gremlins. Which is the better movie? In my opinion, remember, this is all my personal opinion. Which one I would rather watch, which one I like better. Another shocker here. Freddy and Jason both bow out in the semis. Unreal. Man, that was tough. So now, in our championship, to see who is going to be determined, the March Madness 40-year-old bracket winner from 1984's movies, we got Beverly Hills Cop versus Gremlins. My goodness, how am I going to choose this? What a matchup. What a final matchup here. So, do we break it down movie by movie, or do I go with my gut here? Okay, I think we got to go with my gut. My gut is never wrong, except for when it is, and then I just don't learn my lesson. But in this context, it's tough. Gizmo's awesome. Axel Foley's awesome. Both these movies are great. Obviously, they're in the finals of what I'm calling the greatest year of movies ever. But for me, it comes down to Axel Foley and Beverly Hills Cop as the champion of the March Madness 1984 movie tournament. Wow, that was a good matchup. Like I said, tell me in the comments your favorite movie from 1984. Thanks for humoring me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.